Epilogue, talking about the future. Subaru's mind was invited to the land ruled by the Black Shadow once more. There was nothing. Only his consciousness seemed to hover in space. Subaru dimly realized that he existed. There was no one. There was nothing. Nothing began. Nothing ended. It was a world of no being at all. Subaru felt like he had been cast into the sea at night. He let his mind float with the fickle sensation. Abruptly, a change came over the world of darkness. In front, directly ahead of Subaru's mind, someone stood. The shadow grew vertically. Before he knew it, a human silhouette stood before Subaru. He couldn't see its face. The shape was indistinct. But he vaguely thought that it had the shape of a woman. The shadow wavered and slowly reached out a hand. For some reason, when her fingers gently grazed his mind, Subaru wanted to weep. The wave of strange emotion washing over him suggested that he had always been waiting for her to do so. He had an instinctive desire for the wriggling shadow to embrace him, to swallow him whole, and then it stopped. Something had stopped it. Subaru's mind realized that there was another shadow, its white fingers embracing him from behind. Her touch felt soft, and not just warm but hot. The instant Subaru felt that heat, the shadow before him rapidly faded away. He faced his front. His heart trembled. He shouted ferociously. But the world of nothingness had no sound. He was left behind as the shadow became distant, fading away. Finally, the shadow serenely stretched her fingers out toward Subaru, who was nearly in tears. VEU. Even the words he could not hear faded, and the world fell apart. When Subaru awoke, the first thing his eyes took in was an unfamiliar, ornate ceiling. Unlike his bedroom, the chamber he awoke in was ornamented more than most parlors, even the ceiling was decked out to excess. Perhaps it was mandatory in an aristocrat's mansion, the better to show off the master's authority to other parties. At any rate, to a boy like Subaru, born and raised in a small city, it was distinctly uncomfortable. Subaru blinked several times in the moments it took him to arrive at that thought after waking. "It seems, you are awake?" The voice came from the edge of the bed, and at point-blank range. Subaru turned his head, which rested on an exceptionally soft pillow, and narrowed his eyes upon the girl sitting right beside him. "I suppose in one sense, having a maid by your side when you wake up is a man's cherished desire. Considering my degree of carelessness, this is the least I can do to atone." "Man, that's such a negative thing to say, Remington." More to the point, with Rem's eyes downturned, Subaru sat up, punctuating each movement with a word as he took his right hand from under the blankets and lifted it up. It was firmly in Rem's grasp. "Did I do this? If I just grabbed you and didn't let go? That's kind of embarrassing. It's like when I was a kid and wouldn't let go of my favorite towel." No, that's." When Subaru posed the question, still holding Rem's hand as he glanced at her, he saw her cheeks redden just a bit. "I did it." "Why?" "I mean, I sweat a lot when I sleep, so my palm's probably pretty nasty, too." "Subaru, yeah?" As Rem's words faltered, Subaru had a warm feeling as he quietly watched her, their hands still joined. There was no rush involved, so Rem took several breaths before looking at Subaru with upturned eyes. "You seemed to be suffering while you slept, so you held my hand?" "Yes, because I am weak and full of flaws. Hence, I do not know what I can do for someone when this happens. Since I did not know, I did the thing that would have made me happiest." Her halting, fumbling words suggested that this was linked to some kind of embarrassing memory. However, Subaru gave his hand a smile as Rem made her feelings clear. It was like that hand had rescued Subaru from a bad dream, as if he were a little kid. No doubt someone had held Rem's hand on some night when she seemed about to cry. Subaru couldn't help but be happy, even giddy, that she had done the same for him. With no reason to let go, their hands remained together. Subaru kept soaking up the warmth as he inclined his head. "Anyway, care to tell me what else happened before I read the sequel?" "Yes." "How much do you remember, Subaru?" "Rozki made fire rain from the sky, and you were worked up and bear hugged me." "That's it. So, what happened after, then?" Haltingly, Rem explained the aftermath in a business-like fashion. After Subaru lost consciousness, Roswell had mopped up the demon beasts in the forest. The effect of Subaru's stench of the witch worked fine even with him out cold, so Roswell had used him as bait to lure out the demon beasts, and then incinerated the remainder in the forest. Then the curse is on me. In this case, the casters were the demon beasts that bit you. You need not be concerned about dying from those curses any longer. Master Roswell and Lady Beatrice and the Great Spirit have already taken care of everything. So all three are guaranteeing it, huh? Well, I'll believe it this time. He'd been bitten almost everywhere else, so Subaru put a hand on his breast as he sighed with relief. Apparently the time bombs in his body had been successfully defused. He grimaced as he recalled just how many times he'd almost died and what pain and suffering he'd gone through to achieve this. Master Roswell also calmed the agitated villagers in person. Things have mostly returned to peace and quiet. I see. So the brats are safe, huh? But they're probably worried sick about their beloved big bro Subaru coming back all beat up, haha. Subaru was lightening up the mood when Rem made a murmur rich with meaning as she pulled down the blanket covering him. Yes, so it would seem. What? Thought Subaru, suspicious of Rem's demeanor, but his expression soon changed to surprise. Under the blankets, Subaru was dressed in a gown just like the one he'd worn on his first day at Roswell Manor when he'd been severely injured. He realized there was something odd on the parts of the gown below the waist, namely, there are scribbles all over it, like on a cast for a broken leg. The children Master Roswell graciously invited to the mansion wrote these things. Geez, those little brats. Subaru clicked his tongue as he looked over their notes to him. In the first place, they were written upside down from Subaru's point of view, and it wasn't good handwriting to begin with. But since they were written in the I-script Subaru had learned, he eventually read everything. Thanks for bringing Rem back. Thank you very much. You look crazy, but you're cool. Do aerobics with us like you promised. Love you. Subaru grumbled as he leaned back against the pillow, looking toward the window. Geez, those brats. It's so stupid. I don't even like kids. He was glaring toward the village and the children there who had written such things. He was looking forward to paying them a visit as soon as he could. Then he'd give those happy, prank-playing children a real chewing out. Rem warmly watched how Subaru's words contrasted with the look on his face. Then her expression wavered, her lips trembling. Setting aside the past, I need to speak to you about your body. Suppose you're right. Setting aside the curse, I pushed it pretty far, huh? It was only as he spoke that he realized his right shoulder, the same side as the hand Rem was holding, was in its socket. Even when he put weight on it, there was no ache. He felt no malaise from the scars all over his body where fangs had punctured his flesh. This world's healing magic can do anything, thought Subaru. Subaru, I am sorry. In spite of Subaru's optimistic judgment, Rem bent forward at the waist and bowed her head before him. Hey, Subaru said with a wave of his hand, not able to grasp why Rem would be apologizing to him. Lift your head up, Remington. My body's fine, there's nothing bad about it. I'm in perfect condition. That is, not true whatsoever. Certainly the visible wounds have been healed, and fortunately, you need not be concerned about aftereffects hindering normal, everyday life. But, as her words broke off, a bitter shadow came over Rem's face. The scars remain, not only on the body but the heart as well. Also, due to repeated healing, your body's mana is on the verge of running dry. That's why my body's a little sluggish. But that's not a big problem, is it? Scars on the body are a man's medals as long as they're not on the back. And I'm pretty tough when it comes to mental scars. Subaru pointed his thumb at himself as he smiled to drive away Rem's pangs of guilt. He wasn't making it up. If his heart had been naive enough to have been broken beyond repair, he'd never have made it to that morning to have Rem holding his hand like that. After all, he'd undergone wounds to his spirit that could very well have made him unable to look Rem in the eye again. Subaru gazed at Rem intently. She had short blue hair. Her face was more the lovely than pretty type. At first, he thought she showed little emotion on her face, but she was coming around on that bit by bit. He wasn't afraid of her. He wasn't afraid of her at all. There was a Rem who had made Subaru loop more than once, but here was a Rem happy from the bottom of her heart that he had come back alive. It was all by chance. There was the Rem who ran amok for her sister's sake, the Rem who acted rashly to protect Subaru, the Rem who ran off before switching to berserker mode so that she wouldn't cause friendly fire. You may look like you have it all together, but you really aren't the calm type at all, are you, Rem? In everyday life at the mansion, Rem had exceptionally sound, rational decision-making ability. But in a fast-moving crisis, Rem's thoughts also moved quickly, making her hasty and rash. Subaru wasn't really one to talk about snap judgments, but in Rem's case, it was scary how she held a hammer only to see every problem as a nail. Subaru had experienced that firsthand. When Subaru pointed that out, Rem froze for a moment before making a listless, low bow. I understand. Her murmur seemed like the first drop to break the dam of feelings she held inside her. I am powerless, talentless, and a reject of the demon race. That is why I could never live up to Sister. I was so slow-footed compared to Sister, and I could not think of any way to catch up beyond running faster. Rem covered her face with her free hand, continuing her confession as if squeezing it out of herself. Sister did everything better. Sister never blundered. Sister never wavered. Sister was right about everything. Sister. If it was Sister, Rem's words trailed off as she meekly looked up at Subaru. What rested in her eyes were not tears but hollow resignation and despair. I was always Sister's substitute. I've always been inferior. Truly, I am a good for nothing. I could not catch up to Sister no matter how much I chased after her. Faint tears abruptly welled up in her eyes. Why was I the one to keep my horn? Why wasn't it Sister? Why was Sister born with only one? Why? Why were Sister and I twins? Rem's lips trembled as she sought meaning for her very existence. The tears welling in her eyes rolled onto her cheeks, making Rem's pale flesh glimmer in sorrow. Subaru held his silence. Rem seemed unable to bear the quiet, hastily wiping the tears off her cheek. She spoke rapid fire, trying to take back her preceding statements. I am sorry. I said some very odd things. Please forget them. This is the first time I have said such strange things to Ennio. Hey, Remington. Subaru called her name, cutting her words off midway. Rem was afraid of what Subaru would say now that he had broken his silence but lifted her face nonetheless. And so, Subaru said to her. From everything I've heard from you, you're a pretty big idiot. Eh? I can think of 3 stupid things about you. Can you guess what they are? Rem's eyes quivered, unable to grasp the meaning behind Subaru's words. Subaru smiled at her reaction and raised a finger in front of Remington. Can't be helped, then. The first stupid thing is, you're going overboard given the fact that I was actually, saved. You see me waving right before your eyes, right? I have both legs on and everything. Subaru wiggled his scratched-up legs. Rem realized that Subaru was speaking in regards to her confession but meekly shook her head even so. That is, justifying after the fact. A wise man once said, all's well that ends well. To be honest, I think my version's a lot more on target than trying to grade every part along the way. That leads me to the second stupid thing, which is you trying to carry everything on your shoulders by yourself. With a wink, Subaru raised a second finger. Now, I'm super happy you flew off the handle like that for my sake, but everything has a time and a place. To begin with, if you'd talked to other people about it, we'd probably have come up with a better way. Where hunting the demon beasts was concerned, it was crystal clear that Subaru had a point. Rem, unable to refute him, lowered her eyes as if ashamed of her own impulsiveness. Of course, his criticism was something that could be said only in hindsight. But Rem did not realize that even the tiniest bit, nor did she realize Subaru was sticking out his tongue just a little. As for the third. You know what it is, Rem? I do not understand at all. I am always insufficient, I can never reach as far as yes, that's the third stupid thing. Subaru pointed at Rem and how she never missed a chance to put herself down. Then he raised a third finger and waved the three about. Rem, just because she's your older sister, you build her up and put yourself down to where it almost kills you. I don't think Ram's always in a stronger position than you, okay? Her stamina's worse than yours, her cooking's lousy, she slacks off work, she makes snide comments. I suppose she thinks a little too much, too? In Subaru's mind, Ram's specs were a long way from the pillar of perfection Rem spoke of. She was an older sister with talents behind her younger sister in every area. Surely the sisters themselves were well aware of this. That was what Subaru supposed, but Rem shook her head, rejecting his suggestions. And no, you are wrong. Sister is truly. If she had her horn, you would never judge her so, but Ram doesn't have her horn. So I don't know a Ram like that. Subaru, cutting off Rem's attempt to firmly deny herself, continued. The Ram I know is just like I described. She can't hold a candle to you in cooking, sewing, cleaning, politeness, or the way she talks. Well, I don't think that last part is a bad thing, really. It wasn't bad to butt heads with her over her haughty manner of speaking from time to time. To Subaru, the distance between him and Ram was more comfortable. It's probably only you who's worked up about whether she has a horn or not. Comparing someone else's good points and your own bad points just gets you bent out of shape. Whatever she doesn't have, you have. So accept it already. You're gentle, a hard worker, always doing your best, and your breasts are bigger than Ram's, too. Ow. Hey, don't smack me with tears in your eyes like that. Subaru recalled his brief conversation with Ram in the forest. There, he had learned that Ram wasn't particularly hung up any longer on what she had lost as a demon, to the point where he believed Ram wanted Rem to get over it, too. Subaru was not arrogant enough to think that was a problem he was capable of fixing. In the end, Subaru was just a mouthy young man lacking the length or depth of life experience to handle the job. A lecture from someone like him wasn't going to get him anywhere. He put no pressure on himself. He imagined no gravitas in his words. It was simply something in him that refused to compromise, the idea that, in the end, you didn't get the answer from someone else, you had to just roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. So Subaru was simply conveying to Rem his exceptionally simple feelings about the matter. If it wasn't for you, I'd be dead in dog food right now. I'm safe and sound because you were there. I'm alive now thanks to you. That's your doing, not your sister's. Truly, sister could have done it better. Subaru poured cold water on her weak rebuttal as he brought his left hand over his right, which still held Rem's hand. Maybe she could have, but you were the one there for me. When Rem gasped and lifted her face, Subaru put enough gratitude into his voice to make himself blush. I'm glad you were there for me, Remington. Thank you. A choked sob escaped Rem's throat at his words. After that, Rem turned her face aside so that Subaru would not see the look on it. I have always been a substitute for sister. Stop defining yourself with lonely words like that, alright? You and Ram are different genres. I mean, she's the older sister and you're the younger sister, sometimes you're gonna clash. There would always be differences between the two. Each had their unique good points. Whether Rem understood what he was saying or not, Subaru's encouragement made Rem squeeze her eyes shut. Well, I haven't really asked why she lost her horn, and since I didn't ask I don't know. I don't know, so I don't want to talk like I do know, so, Subaru put his left hand on the upper part of his own forehead, patting it right where Rem's horn grew out of hers. Ram doesn't have her horn, and you have yours, so you can just do whatever she would need a horn for. You can just be two demons getting along great. There's nothing stronger than love between beautiful sisters, right? Ah, so I mean, you said you were a substitute, but Ram has no substitute for you, does she? I mean, if you weren't there for her, can you imagine the state she'd be in? Rem, aghast, didn't know this, but Subaru had seen such a future. He had seen Ram, despairing at the death of her younger sister, go mad and use all her remaining strength for the sake of vengeance. But, yet even so, Rem did not simply nod in agreement. I get it. So, how about we do this? You have an idealized Ram inside you that you can never compare to no matter what you do. Let's take that ideal Ram you have on a pedestal and send her packing. That is, easier said than done. I have always compared myself to, that's why I want you to listen to how I rate her. My rating's based on reality, not the ideal. Just so you know, I don't have any talent for reading the mood at all, so I just call M like I see M, no flattery or mercy. What you see is what you get. Subaru smiled at Rem, grinning as he stroked her blue hair. It tickled her, but she merely narrowed her eyes, drawing a small sigh out of Subaru. Where I come from, they say, talking about the future makes a demon laugh, so Rem said nothing and merely tilted her head a bit as Subaru continued caressing her head and speaking. Laugh, Remington, don't make a glum face. Laugh. Let's laugh and talk about the future. Let's make up for all that living in the past you've been doing and talk about what's to come. I mean, even if we start with tomorrow. Tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow. Anything's good, all right? Like, whether it'll be Japanese or Western food for breakfast tomorrow, or even if you're going to put on your right shoe or your left shoe first. It doesn't matter how trivial, there'll be a tomorrow, so we can talk about it. How about it? Subaru spread his arms, prodding Rem for an answer. Rem hesitated to reply for a while before lowering her brows with a conflicted look. I am very weak, so I will most likely lean on you a great deal. What's wrong with that? I'm weak, too. I'm not very smart, I'm not good looking, and I can't read the mood, which gets me down even when I'm the one saying it, but I still get by because the people around me help me. We just have to lean on one another and move forward. She had been unable to see a path for her to walk because she insisted on putting anything and everything onto her own shoulders. The least Subaru could do was offer his two empty hands and make the walk forward that much easier. Even so, he'd just been extra baggage himself more than once, but if you couldn't see ahead by yourself, you just needed someone to share the burden with as you moved forward. That's how he felt, anyway. So let's laugh, hug each other, and talk about tomorrow. I've always dreamed of laughing with a demon and talking about the future, anyway. You truly are possessed by a demon. You bet. Subaru closed one eye with the corner of his lips curled up. Rem apparently couldn't resist making a small smile herself. She laughed, and as she laughed, tears poured out of the corners of her eyes. The seemingly endless tears poured out, flowing and flowing, but Rem continued to laugh even so. Rem laughed, Rem cried, Rem buried her face in a pillow to suppress her laughing, sobbing voice. Even so, her mirthful, tearful voice quietly filled the room. Subaru gently caressed Rem's hair the whole while, his right hand grasping hers. Softly, softly, he stroked her hair. He thought back to the days he had repeated over and over in his first week at Roswell Manor. Subaru had a place at the mansion with a good relationship with Ram and Remington. The children of the village had been saved, and the demon beasts in the forest had been wiped out, eliminating net danger. It was a grand adventure spanning some 20-odd days. Yes, it should have been cause for celebration. And if not for the girl using a finger to toy with her silver hair, in a sullen mood as she laid into Subaru, it would have been. It's not that I'm upset. No, I'm not upset. All that happened was the patient I'd been nursing was gone when I woke up, and when I was going to go looking for him, I found out I'd been tied to the chair and left behind. No, I'm not upset about that at all. A flood of cold sweat poured down Subaru's brow as he silently listened to Amelia's rant. It had already been some 10 minutes since Amelia had come to the room, but most of that time had been chewed up by a mix of lecturing and venting. Her initial visit was out of concern for Subaru's condition. When she was certain he was fine, she had sighed with relief and switched gears to leveling her complaints on the spot. That was Amelia's personality for you. I'm not upset, so, yes, Amelia-tan, you're right to be upset with me. I'm very sorry. Sheesh, I said I wasn't upset. But since you apparently feel guilty, I have no choice. I will accept your apology, Subaru. Really, don't make me worry like that. After Subaru gave in to her pressure, Amelia accepted the apology and punctuated her last sentence with a broad, charming smile. It wasn't even remotely fair. How could she say things like that and make that kind of face at the same time? After he'd made up with Rem, the maid had left, and Amelia had taken her place. The moment she'd arrived, he'd largely expected how the rest would go, but now that her lecture was finished, The way there was nothing in her purple eyes but concern for Subaru made it really hard for him to calm down. I have to say, Subaru, you sure get hurt a lot. And the reason you got hurt was that you came to the mansion, too. I mean, it's only been 4 days. Hey, it's not like I want all these injuries. I guess you could say the world kind of has it out for me, so, if I can at least have Amelia-tan fawning over me, it's all good. I fawned over you plenty and you just ran off. You can fend for yourself next time. Ooh-wah. I let my chance slip away. Damn it, if only Biko had done a bit of a better job. Subaru shouted in anger at the cold-hearted girl, having not seen a single trace of her curly hair since his recovery. Amelia pouted as Subaru's words made her remember how he'd left her behind. I told you, when I woke up after falling asleep in the chair I was tied up in it. I was flabbergasted. No one uses flabbergasted anymore, don't make light of it. Puck tried to keep me from going after both of you, too. I don't know what would have happened if Roswell hadn't come back. Understand? Faced with Amelia's tight-lipped anger, Subaru could only feel ashamed of himself. Just as he had imagined, Puck attempted to keep Amelia from putting herself in danger. Apparently Beatrice had abandoned any thought of convincing her early on and had moved straight to physical restraints. Having both of them impeding Amelia must have been pretty hard on her mental state. Subaru knew that was exactly how he'd feel if it had been him left behind like that. Even so, if he'd had to do it all over again, no doubt he'd have left Amelia behind once more. You've saved me again, though. Eh? I said, you saved me again, even though the whole point of bringing you to the mansion was to thank you for saving me before. Thank you very much. Amelia put her hands together for emphasis as her face broke into a radiant smile. Subaru, bearing the full effect of it, finally felt something go plunk in his chest. That's fine, really. I just did it because I wanted to, and it's not like this has nothing to do with me, either. Yeah, that's right. I did it. As he said it, it really sank in. That was what had fallen inside his chest. Having repeated events over some 20 days, Subaru had finally made it to the end. After having his heart broken and crushed so many times, his hand had finally reached that which he had long sought. He was finally able to register that feeling of I did it. That's what you say, but that won't put my conscience at ease. I'm sure Rem, and Roswell are all grateful to you, too. That's so? Alright, let me take advantage and have my contract with Roski amended so that Ram and Rem are my personal maids for a while, mwahaha. And then... Subaru put his hand over his mouth as he made a lewd laugh. He then swayed his body left and right as he drew closer to Amelia, thrusting a finger toward her, making her recoil ever so slightly. Am I going to get an Amelia-tan reward, too? Goodness, if I can afford it. If it is within my power, then. Wait, last time, you asked me for my name. Ha ha. Do not underestimate my greed. This time I am a man unaffected by anything so weak. I am aroused by greed and avarice and a vortex of libido. Though he never even got up from the bed, Subaru posed, furiously spreading his arms up at an angle. Perhaps seeing Subaru worked up to that degree made Amelia believe the subject couldn't be avoided. She sat down, properly facing him. As Amelia awaited the inevitable, Subaru browsed the Amelia reward list in his brain. He carefully went over options ranging from the bittersweet to nighttime adventures, selecting one. And so? Alright, Amelia-tan, let's go out on a date. He would redo the promise he'd made with Amelia so many days before. Date. It means we head out together, see the same things, eat the same food, share the same memories together. You're fine with that? I'm fine with that. How many hardships had Subaru gone through to go on his long-desired date with Amelia? Along the way, various other intentions had piled up with it as he leaped over one hurdle after another, but he'd finally cleared the last obstacle and reached his wish. Hence, the promise was a fitting way to tie all the loops together. I want to brag about you to the brats in the village, Amelia-tan. Plus, the flower bed's just awesome. To me, it'd be special just to have a casual stroll there together. I think your definition of greed is a bit different than for most people. Don't say that. My shamelessness will freeze that cute smile on your face yet. Oh yeah. Subaru's teeth glinted as he did a thumbs up and a wink. Yes, all right already, I'll go on a date with you. The promise having been made, Subaru clapped his hands together and exulted. Yes. And that's why Emilia-tan's majorly a fairy. Subaru, seeing Emilia sigh at his enthusiasm out of the corner of his eye, directed his hopes for a speedy physical recovery outside the window, toward the village where they would have their promised date. Visions of a glittering future danced when Subaru abruptly thought of the demon beast forest. The curses that inhabited his body had lost all their effectiveness. The demon beasts had been eradicated, the end of a long chain of events beginning with a single one slipping past the broken barrier. This time, matters had ended with one species wiping out the other. The events left a bitter aftertaste that he didn't fully understand. He remembered how he was in a daze as he thrust his sword into the demon beast's body. The memory was fresh, and the sensation of taking a life lingered on his hands. He wondered if he would forget that sensation someday. Surely the passage of time would make the ache in his chest subside. But until that day came, what could he do? Subaru. Yeah? He looked back when she called his name. He wondered what Emilia would think of the meaning behind Subaru's distant, absent-minded gaze. Emilia rose to her feet and opened the curtains. Light flooded into the room all at once. Emilia's silver hair was enveloped by vivid, dancing light that left him spellbound. Finally, as Subaru sat in silence, Emilia smiled at him out of the blue. When we go on the date, let's bring back a flower bouquet. Sure. Subaru covered his face with his palms. There was no winning against that smile. He thought, before the day came when he forgot, he ought to carve it into his chest so that he could not. He knew it was hypocritical and would only force the pain onto him, but he felt it was the right thing to do. He felt like Emilia's pretty smile was telling him so. So he did. Emilia and Subaru continued to spend time together with smiles on their faces. Having finally and truly reached it, the morning of the fifth day continued to gently shine down upon them.